Hey guys. So one of the subscribers on my YouTube channel called me out for not doing a video for a while. So Garen, thank you. I'm gonna do a quick little one for you guys today. So what I wanted to talk about, there's this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and he has this quote in the book where he says, before you climb the ladder, make sure it's leaning against the right building. And 5 years ago or so, that's exactly the situation that I found myself in. So for those of you guys that don't know me, I worked in the construction engineering industry, basically moving from power plant to power plant for about 7 years. And during that time, you know, my average day was probably 12 hours or more, and I was often working 6 days a week, sometimes even 7. So my entire my entire life and identity basically revolved around my work. And you know, up until that point, I'd basically done everything that, you know, I thought you're supposed to do as an adult. So I thought I had it all figured out. You know, I went to college, I got the engineering degree, I got the corporate job, I started climbing the ladder. I was doing well by an outsider's perspective. They probably thought that I had everything that, you know, you're supposed to have. But, you know, the reality was that I'm not going to say I was completely miserable, but it just wasn't where I wanted to go. And, you know, I started looking around me and looking at the people who had been doing this for, you know, 10, 15 years. And I just kind of had this sinking feeling that, you know, it's just not where I wanted to head. So a lot of these people, you know, they'd been moving around their whole lives. They'd been uprooting their families. A lot of them had families that lived somewhere else, and, you know, they didn't get to spend time with their kids, and most of them were divorced. And you know, it was just a really horrible feeling to put all this effort into something and then realize that, you know, it's not really going to work out. So also at this time in my life, so unrelated, but I also was going through a divorce, and I basically kind of had this rock bottom where, you know, I just felt really, really lost, and it was definitely not a good feeling. And it's not a neat, clean story where, you know, then I got into real estate investing and, you know, everything changed. It was a process, a long process. But what started to change things was that I got back into reading. And you know, I hate the term self-help. So for me, I prefer self-development. So for me, like, self-help kind of implies that you're broken or there's something wrong with you. But, you know, I got into the self-development books, and, you know, that was kind of my way of, you know, searching externally and trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do. And you know, I really started working really hard on myself and my confidence, and you know, all sorts of different things I just started working on. And I eventually did get into the financial stuff, and that's when I found the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And, you know, after reading that book, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about, though, is actually making the change. So you know, we are naturally wired to avoid discomfort, and to make a drastic change, like, you know, investing there's some risk, absolutely, and it's really scary. And to get to a point where you can do something like that, it's more mental than anything. And what really helped me is I started learning about human behavior and psychology, and you know, habits and neuroscience and things like that. And just by learning about how the brain works and, you know, why we do the things that we do, it really kind of gave me this extra line of defense against myself. And you know, it really helped me figure out my own behavior, and that was huge. So if you kind of can understand your own biases, and so, like, hesitation, if you want to do something that scares you and you hesitate, but you realize why you're doing it, it really helps you with pushing yourself. So you know, growing up, I was always this super shy guy. I actually had pretty extreme, you know, social anxiety when I was younger, and honestly, it kind of made life hell for me. And I really just started working on that and pushing myself to do things that made me uncomfortable. So I would actively seek out situations that made me uncomfortable and push myself to do it. And that made, I would still say I lean more towards the introvert than an extrovert. But, that doesn't really hold me back anymore like it used to. And, that's something that I developed and I learned. It's not, something I was born with. On that subject, another great book for developing the mindset is a book called Mindset. And it's this book by Carol Dweck. And the premise of the book is there's really kind of two types of general mindsets that people have. So there's the fixed mindset, and then there's the growth mindset. So when you have a fixed mindset, you basically have this belief that intelligence is fixed, what I'm born with is what I have, and I can't develop it. And what that does is, so a person with a fixed mindset, they're going to spend their life trying to prove that they're smart or talented because they believe, whatever level of intelligence that they have at this point is all they have. So they will spend their life, avoiding challenges and looking for situations that make them look smart. So the opposite to that is the growth mindset. So a growth mindseted person realizes that intelligence is not fixed, and I can get into this later, but there is a ton of research, about new research about neuroplasticity, and we know so much more today about just how much our minds actually can change and our ability to learn new skills and things like that. But when you have that belief, so for instance, if you have a growth mindset, you believe that you are capable of learning new skills, you believe that you're capable of, becoming more intelligent, and when you hold that belief, you don't spend your time trying to prove that you're smart. You spend your time trying to learn and grow, and that makes a huge difference in the way that you show up, in your life, because you don't avoid challenges. You actively seek challenges, and if you believe that you can do something, you'll try. So if you have a belief that your intelligence is fixed and you're not capable of doing something, you're not going to try it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I've gone on a long tangent now. But I guess that's really all I had for this morning. I just kind of wanted to talk about the mindset and the belief a little bit, and a little bit about my story. If you guys have anything specific that you'd like me to cover, please leave some comments below. I have a pretty large multi-house package deal that my partner Matt and I are kind of working on right now. So I think my next video is going to be about how we're going to structure that. So I get a lot of questions about structuring big, doing creative finance and how to structure deals and things like that. So I might talk about that a little bit. But if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, please leave a comment. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a good weekend. Thanks.